Imagine spending tens of millions of dollars on a top player for it to not work out in your favor. In today's trendy football video, we will be going through the top 5 Premier League flop signings in the last 10 years. Making only a top 5 list was pretty challenging for us. However, these are the 5 signings we believe deserve a spot on the list. If you disagree with us, let us know who deserves a spot on the list in the comment section. Number 5. Kepa to Chelsea. In 2018, Chelsea desperately needed a replacement for Thibaut Courtois. The London Giants settled on Kepa from Athletic Bilbao. They paid his release clause of £72 million, which made him the most expensive goalkeeper of all time. No one expected the horrendous goalkeeping Chelsea were in for. His stats at Chelsea rank him as one of the worst keepers in Europe. Last season he had a save percentage of 54.5, ranking him as the worst in Europe's top 5 leagues. Compare this to his rivals. Arsenal's Leto last season had a percentage of 77.6, Liverpool's Alisson had 72.7, and even De Gea had 74.2. It doesn't get any better. In European games, Kepa has a save percentage of 50. That means whenever he faced a shot, he could have flipped a coin to decide the outcome. But perhaps the most damning statistic of all is the fact that despite spending 2 full seasons at the club, he has conceded 8% of Chelsea's goals in their Premier League history. Definitely one of the worst signing in the last 10 years. This was amplified by the signing of Edward Mendy this season to replace him. Number 4. Sanchez to Manchester United. In January 2018, Sanchez had made it clear that he wanted to leave Arsenal for a few months as he was unhappy at the club. Manchester United and Manchester City were both fighting for his signature. Of course, City at this time were more successful, and so it was harder for him to guarantee a spot in the starting 11. Plus he was demanding a very high wage. City pulled out and United were desperate to get their man. They weren't willing to offer a transfer fee as they knew Arsenal would demand a large sum, so they proposed a player swap. Mkhitaryan goes to Arsenal and Sanchez goes to Manchester United. In hindsight, moves that didn't help either club. United also made his wage demands of £350,000 per week and the deal was signed. United thought they had pulled off one of the best deals in recent history as Alexis was one of the Premier League's top players. Oh, how wrong they were. Sanchez's decline was steep and his ability fell off. He was not able to do anything right. Shots that he should score were going wide. Passes going astray and giving the ball needlessly led to the fans turning on him quickly, especially since he was one of the highest earners at the club and he was contributing practically nothing. In total, United had to pay Sanchez £25.2 million and he only scored 7 goals in 50 appearances, making this one of the worst deals in recent history. Number 3. Keita to Liverpool. In the third spot is one of the players we strongly believe can turn their fortunes around. In August 2017, Liverpool struck a deal with RB Leipzig to sign young talented midfielder Keita for £52.75 million and that he would arrive in the summer of 2018. This move was thought to be the answer to their lack of goal threat in the midfield and that Keita would finally fix that. But that didn't exactly happen. Unfortunately, he was quite injury-prone even at Leipzig, having 6 injuries in 2 seasons, and this only accelerated as he joined Liverpool. Since joining Liverpool, Keita has accumulated 14 different injuries and counting, all varying in severity. This has meant he obviously hasn't had that much consistent game time to prove himself, but even in the times he has played, he hasn't provided that spark and creativity that he was bought for, and ultimately he has failed to live up to his hefty price tag. Before we get to the last 2 flops, please don't forget to subscribe as it helps greatly with our channel growth. Number 2. Carroll to Liverpool. Carroll made the switch from Newcastle to Liverpool for £35 million in 2011. He was bought using the money that Liverpool robbed Chelsea of with the sale of Torres. He had scored 11 goals in 19 appearances for Newcastle before making the switch to Liverpool to replace Torres. It was always going to be a struggle for whoever had to replace Torres, who banged in 81 goals in 141 appearances for the Reds. But Carroll had a horrendous period at the Red side of Liverpool. He only lasted 1 full season at Liverpool, amassing 4 goals and 3 assists in 35 games before being sent out to West Ham on loan, where he was eventually sold to for £15 million. A lot of expectations were placed on Carroll, and costing £35 million, he did not live up to those standards at all. Number 1. Fernando Torres to Chelsea. Unfortunately, the Reds make another appearance on this list. El Niño had a stellar career at Liverpool. being involved in over 80 goals for the Reds despite having no trophies to show for it. He was up there challenging the likes of Ronaldo and Tevez for the best striker in the league, and this put him on the map for many top clubs around the world. So when Chelsea came in for him on deadline day, the £50 million fee was expected, and this was thought to be a step up for him. Finally, a chance for him to win some silverware. He did win silverware, collecting a FA Cup and a Champions League in his first season, and then a Europa League in the following campaign where he scored in the final. But unfortunately, he didn't have as much of an impact as we expected. A lot of missed chances and a very poor output, only scoring 45 goals in 172 games, which was less goals than what he had at Liverpool in a lot more games. For some reason, whether it was the style of play or the mental pressure of the big price tag on his head, Torres couldn't perform for Chelsea like he did at Liverpool. There you have it, guys. The top 5 Premier League flop signings in the last 10 years. Who do you think deserved a spot on the list? Who do you think is currently too early in their signing to call a flop? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section down below.